All right, everyone, we are live. Welcome into Fandom Menace tonight for April 13th, 2020. It's 10 p.m. If you're on the East Coast, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Well, yes. And, of course, 7 p.m. out here on the West Coast. So tonight's show is going to be a lot of fun. I know I start all of them like that, but time. And be there for that. If you're a regular listener to the podcast, you know that we tease Dion about owning 500 copies of this film. Be prepared to watch it with him and listen to his heartbreak on air. So before we start out, let's see who we got. We got Apocrypha says, hail WCBS. So let's give a hail out to our friends Apocrypha. Samurai Vader, action figure expert, what's up? Hello, Thanos EVS. Thank you very much for your first super chat. We have Audrey Schaefer, Alexander the Great, Mad Muppet, The Mayor, Hank Kosler. We also have Bayona Red, Infinity Hand, Logan Michael, Anti-Funko Pops, and more. So, folks, thank you for joining me tonight. This is night one of Fandom Menace tonight. We'll be back on Wednesday. Tuesday's the High Council. And next Thursday, and Thursday, as always, is the World Class Bullshitters podcast. So, let's start tonight's show. We don't really have anything in the way of housekeeping besides we put out a video this morning titled The Final Castration of Luke Skywalker. Strong title, strong video, so make sure you guys check that out tonight. It's going to be a lot of there's going to be a lot of laughs in that one. So whatever you do, just be in the right mindset to watch it, as in just be prepared to have fun. So what do we have to talk about tonight? Well, first off, let's do something we've never done on this channel before. Let's talk about Dune. Yes, I know a lot of fans out here in the Fandom Menace are sci-fi aficionados, and Dune is considered some of the best out there. Now, full transparency, I don't like the movie Dune that much. I tried watching it way back in the day, didn't really love it, but there's a remake, and this one looks promising. So we got our first image of Dune, and I'm going to show you guys this right now. Here we go. It's Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides in Dune, and this comes from Warner Brothers, obviously, by way of IGN. Now, I bring this up because everyone talks about not having anything to look forward to. I know our friend over at Raiders of the Lost Flicks is very excited to, watch this movie. He's been making Dune videos over on his channel. So if you guys want to check that out, I think you'll like it if you're Dune fans. But this is something that a lot of people are looking forward to. Yes, of course, it's another adaptation of a book, a remake, some would say, but I treat it like The Thing. If it's already a piece of literature, then you make another movie of it. It's just another adaptation. So we'll find out if it's good or not, if it'll be a hit. If everything comes out as planned, I guess this movie's supposed to be out late this year. Excuse me, later this year. And hopefully it's a success, as well as the people driving all the motorcycles by the apartment. Thank you very much, motorcyclers. So yes, Dune, that will be out quite soon. And yes, I agree. The original had way too much drag time. There's just a multitude of reasons why I'm not in love with that film. I like a lot of sci-fi, but Dune just never really spoke to me. So, moving away from Dune, we're going to talk about just something briefly. Bob Iger. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard the news yet, but Bob Iger is back as the CEO of Disney. Now, earlier in the year, I believe it was mid-February, Bob Iger had stepped down. He was going to go into something else. He was going to be not the CFO. Maybe he was the CFO. I don't know what he's going to be. Probably not the CFO. He's not a financial officer. But he was moving on. And as of today, during the whole virus, this pandemic we're going through, Bob Iger is back. So due to coronavirus pandemic, he's had on Disney, CEO Bob Iger is assisting new CEO Bob Chapek in running the company. So Bob Iger is sticking around. He says, I've been running it for 15 years, and a crisis of this magnitude and the impact on Disney would necessarily result in my actively helping Bob Chapek and the company contend with it. Now, we've been documenting the decline of Hollywood. We've been documenting the impact on Disney. We've been documenting all of these things almost on a day-by-day basis because it's funny how the inner workings of Hollywood go. It's like if they don't have operation for just a few short days on these theme parks or these projects, it's like, we're going to close down forever. Sadly, the same thing can be said about comic book stores and all sorts of other independent businesses that really haven't hurt the popular culture consciousness like Disney has. But it's interesting to see how these companies are actually run. And I see people in the chat saying he wasn't gone for long, but Disney is fucked. Disney is one of those companies that everything looks, it's like Han Solo on the Death Star. We're all fine here. Thank you. How are you? And then they realize there's a bunch of stormtroopers coming up and they better get the hell out of the detention block. Now, hopefully, for those who hate Disney Star Wars, they're thinking to themselves, I hope they end up in the garbage compactor and nobody opens the pressure or maintenance hatch. But that's not going to be the case. Disney will find a way to persevere. They have billions of dollars in cash reserves and all these other things. But our friends and other YouTube channels in Fandom Menace, they talk about how Disney owes a lot of debt, how certain things will have to come to pass. And it feels like Disney might be at the end of its rope for a while. They may have to restructure. I wouldn't be surprised if Disney took gambles by offering people like a Robert Downey Jr. or other people big money contracts, and they wrote themselves out of the hole Avengers Endgame put them in, and they make another big Avengers film to try to make back cash as much as possible. I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to offer up some Mark Hamill money or something like that and give us an Adventures of Luke Skywalker film. Give us something, because as we talk about a little later into the show, one of our main topics was Rey and Daisy Ridley, in Star Wars. And there is a perception that the fans, the Fandom Menace, are this vocal minority that no one cares about, that no one knows about. We're irrelevant. They don't care what we have to say. Well, Daisy Ridley, and we'll talk about this a little later, understands the impact. She feels the difference in the lack of love with Star Wars. And so Disney holding all these major IPs, basically bringing them to a close in 2019, puts them in a position where they have to just move ahead and try to milk them some more. As much as you want to say, oh, Black Widow is going to be $1 billion picture. No, it wasn't. I read the spoilers. I'm not going to spoil it for you on the channel because the movie's months out, so that wouldn't be fair. But from what I read, it sounds kind of dumb, and it seems like this is going to be a $600-700 million picture, and some of the things might disappoint people. But I can't think of a $1 billion picture Disney has on their hands for this year. I know the box office has been stunted. Maybe Mulan would have been it. Could have been, probably not. But with the Pixar film released and all these other things that are coming out later in the year, Disney's in a weird spot. They don't really have any super duper income coming in. Yes, they have their streaming services. Yes, they have their other forms of money, including merchandise. And I'm sure people are still buying videotapes, so they're getting those kind of royalties in. Videotapes. Who am I talking? Or who am I joking? CDs, DVDs, Laserdisc, all the formats besides Blu-ray. No, but Disney's got it. Disney's got all that stuff. But it just seems it seems funny how the things are kind of closing in. The walls are closing in on them. But let's see. Let's see what the chat is saying. 4K New Hoop got no making of features, says Dragon Ball Talk. Well, I wasn't going to pick up the Star Wars box set because it wasn't going to be a cut of the film that I accepted. Iger pulled a Palpatine. Ooh, that'd be interesting to see how long Bob Iger stays on. Now, are people going to take this as a vote of no confidence with Bob Chapek? I don't know. I don't really follow the guy too terribly much. We're not one of those channels that's going to follow every crumb for like, oh, this person said this about this person in 1997 and that, all that stuff. There definitely is interest in that, at least from my end, to put together a bigger piece, make a bigger picture for the audience, you guys, to check out to see how these things affect the inner workings, affect the company, and how that affects entertainment and pop culture for everyone out here. But, oh God, Ray. Yes. But yeah, Disney did buy the competition, and now they're in a place where they have nothing ready. They thought people were just going to anticipate the next phase, the next wave, the next iteration of the MCU, and they don't really have anything to get people hooked. Oh, Riding Sonic has another month of quarantine. It feels like we have that too. Black Widow's not going to be woke. There's just some twists that are stupid. Now remember, these are leaks and rumors, so you guys can go search them out on Reddit yourself. It's up to you to read those leaks. I saw them. I actively read them because wasn't interested in Black Widow that much. And for those out there in the chat who are talking about Dave Filoni and all that stuff, that'll be tomorrow night's High Council, as well as a continuation of the Daisy Ridley stuff. As you guys know, going live all the time requires new topics every night. So I don't want to basically have a rehash show tomorrow night just with a few new takes. So we're going to save some of those juicy bits for tomorrow night. But of course, you're going to join back in for the High Council. It's Tuesday night. It's a premier channel. It's a premier show of the Fandom Menace. So, hello, Nathan Hunt, all the way from Australia, and thank you, Nerdigans. Hail, Jeff. Now, I always want to read your guys' super chat, so I don't want to keep you waiting. Thanos EVS, who kind of stole the show on Thursday night's podcast, says, went to John's funeral today. It was pretty sad and stuff. I got bored, so I started playing with my keychain. His mom didn't like that, so she kicked me out. I was going to Wayne Brady her ASS. Oh, Thanos EVS, that keychain that you got from a Cracker Barrel really, really must be impressive. And by the way, to your friend John, the recently departed John, how was the turnout for this post-coronavirus funeral? Not a lot of people were able to gather for your friend John, but at least you were there, and you're clearly a good friend. Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pops, thank you very much. He says, Pop's gay. Agreed. And finally, Christopher Richshot says, this will be the third adaptation of Dune. There was a sci-fi miniseries made in 2000, which was decent. I feel like I heard about that, and it has like some fairly well-known actor in it. Not like Aaron Paul, but maybe something like, let me look that up real quick. Dune 2000 remake. Dune, let's see. 2000 Sci-Fi Channel. Okay, so, hey, who is it? It's somebody, it's like James, is it James McAvoy? No, I guess not. James McAvoy was in some sci-fi adaptation in the early 2000s, and I can't remember what the hell it was. So, oh well. No, James McAvoy was in something else. Or maybe it's another X-Men guy. Maybe it's what's his face? James McAvoy was in Children of Dune. That's what it was. Okay, I knew there was something with Dune and James McAvoy. Thank you, D. Pensac. I appreciate that. I had no clue about which one it was. Like I said, guys, I'm not gonna bullshit you and tell you, oh, I'm a huge fan of everything that we talk about in the Fandom Menace on every channel. No, I don't really like that shit. It was never for me. The movie was boring. I know Frank Herbert wrote it, and a lot of people love it. And if the new movie interests me, awesome. Never read the book. Need to. Let's see. Did I hear about what happened with the quartering? I did not. I did not hear about what happened with the quartering. If you guys want to fill me in, let me know. But Christopher, being quarantined, being stuck inside, we're watching a lot of stuff. But I'm always looking for new stuff to watch. So I'm ready to watch some good stuff. So let us talk about the next topic. Wonder Woman could be the future face of the DCEU. So we know that Henry Cavill's Superman was the first launch of the DCEU way back in 2013. He was going to be he's Superman. He was going to be the face of superhero movies from DC for a long time going forward. You'd think we're going to take our biggest IP and we're going to make, I'll take that back. Batman's the biggest IP. Who am I joking? But we're going to take Superman and we're going to put him at the forefront. We're going to do this right. Marvel did it right. They put some of their biggest characters together, and we're going to put our biggest characters together because guess what? We own our biggest characters. We don't have to worry about another company like licensing it like Spider-Man does. But no, there's an article floating around online, of course, sort of float around, and it talks about, how they want to have Wonder Woman be the face. So it looks like Wonder Woman 84 might be a soft reboot. It might be essentially, their way of saying, hey, this is the direction we're going to take these films. Now, could this be one more lighthearted and funny? Possibly. If you hold on a second while we wait for the sirens to pass. Okay, thank you very much. I guess, California is on fire, some shit like that. What up, the Puy? Good to see you here, too. But as I was briefly saying about Wonder Woman, it looks like they're going to take her and make her the face of the DCEU. And that is what... that was just a little piece of news I found interesting. It's sad that they're going to move Superman to the back burner. I'm hoping that we one day get a great, great Superman film. It's been a while. Some would argue we've never gotten a great Superman film. Christopher Reeve would disagree. He was the best Superman, and, he's my favorite. So now let's talk about something that's going to anger people. So about 3 weeks ago at this point, we discussed the New Mutants, and everyone had fun at the expense of the New Mutants. It wasn't well received by anyone. Now, as you know, the New Mutants were Marvel's contribution to the world. I dare say their greatest contribution to the world. Nah, I'm just joking. That's honestly a lie. It was dog shit. But DC Comics has essentially said, hold my beer. And they have a new superhero, Thylacine, an indigenous Australian from the Pilbara. So, guys, if you are prepared for the cringiest of cringe, let me know by pressing 1 in the chat right now. This is going to be incredible. So, it's like getting internet gassed all over again. So this comes from the ABC affiliate Down Under, and they're saying that there's a new Aboriginal DC hero, and she's a deadly, I don't even know how to pronounce this word, Negroluma hunter from the Pilbara. Codename Thylacine. She boasts night vision, heightened sense, lethal combat skills, Batman-like stealth, and Steely suffers no fool's gaze. She's one character who can walk into any situation and walk back out again alive, says her co-creator, Melbourne-based comic book writer Tom Taylor. Thylacine is the latest recruit in DC's Suicide Squad and has been created by Taylor and artist Bruno Redondo in careful consultation with the writer, actor, and director Sherry Sebens and creator Ryan Griffin. Thylacine is the first indigenous Australian character in Suicide Squad's 33-year history. Oh my God, folks. Let's just take a minute and clap for Thylacine. And DC, if you're out there listening, do me a favor. Thank you. Yes. Let's just keep this rolling. Woo, DC, good job. God damn it, we needed you. Stunning and brave is correct. But, DC, if you're out there, I want you to do me a favor. I want you to extend your right or your left arm. Move it all the way back and continue to pat yourself on the back because you just helped save the world with your diversity. Yeah, I am just so full of shit right now. But it's not just Thylacine, okay? There are more than Thylacine. There's Jog, who's a speedster from France. There's Osida, who's a Puerto Rican, strong, angry leader of the revolutionaries, so clearly a superhero. There's Thylacine, who's a Negroluma, woman with heightened senses, and she's a hunter. And there's Deadly Six from Somalia, can choose from 6 deadly sins to influence people. Then there's Chaos Kitten from Hong Kong. Guess what she is? She's a fighter. That's not a stereotype. And here's the worst one, which almost makes me want to vomit. TNT, born Argentina, explodes. So I think there had to be some sort of summit over in the comic book landscape with Marvel and DC saying, hey guys, look, we're not making any money with print books. We're fed up with this bullshit. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to tank the books, but we're going to build new IPs in the process. So hopefully one day somebody will look at Thylacine and the rest of this jerk-off crew and they'll say, hey, we should adapt them. But they won't. We live in a world where it's hard to adapt Superman and Batman. There hasn't been a great Batman movie in, some would argue, 12 years. Some would argue 8 years. Some would argue even longer. Some would argue there's never been a great Batman film. I'd say, well, thank you very much. Please enjoy your Batman cereals and go fuck yourself. But no, they're so worried about building these characters, but they can't even get their big 3 properties right. I can understand if you guys were riding high, putting out the greatest books each month, or just good books each month, iconic stories every once in a while. And then you're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to dabble in this. See, this is the number one reason why the comic book industry took a shit. Because they went and they got this idea that if the media builds up their property, that they're going to get all this hype and all this praise and people are going to rush out and buy the books. Well, I have some bad news for you, DC. Besides a lot of stores being closed due to the current virus situation, we also have these books that make people's eyes roll because it's like you're trying to outdo yourself. What kind of stories sell in the media? Well, diversity comes first to the media. And, well, it just doesn't really sell at the fans. You know, your fans are a diverse group of people. They just want good stuff. And if the diversity is the most important part, this, oh, we have an ethnically diverse background of characters, that's not ever at the forefront of most people's minds. You know, Bill and Ted, again, the only reason I picked this up is because the box set sitting in front of me are 2 white dudes from California. Not a very diverse film, but speaks to lots of people from all sorts of walks of life. And, you know, San Dimas Football High School rules. But yeah, I agree that, yeah, what the fuck is this book? You know, it's funny. Everyone went on the new Warriors kick, me included. Hell, I even auditioned to be on the team. But it's like DC didn't just say hold my beer once. It's like a 1-2 combo, a knockout punch, if you will, because we went from Gotham High to this. And it all sucks. Like in the chat, let's be honest. we've had Justice League International. We had an international superhero team in the early days of the New 52, and the only notable hero I believe was Batman on the team. Maybe it was just Justice League International. Let me look that up real quick, because it was pretty good. There's an older Justice League International, but there's a New 52 version, and that was more of their approach with this international thing, and it was fun. I liked it a lot, but it didn't really it didn't go beyond that. And here's the team. Well, it had Batman, it had Booster Gold, a couple characters I don't know, and Guy Gardner Green Lantern. Well, Guy Gardner Green Lantern is pretty diverse, right? You guys ever seen the time where he got punched out by Batman? That was awesome. So, yes, I'm guessing the Muscle Guys Osita 2 or Osita. This is a poorly placed word balloon because there are not enough word balloons for all the characters on screen. Like, who's this winged guy? We don't know. We're never going to know. Yeah, Bruce, I wish I would have stopped reading comics as well. That's why, people make their own, we make their own, we do all this fun stuff. It's a response. When you have nothing but garbage coming out, why would you want to consume this? Why would you get excited for this? I have no clue. Our friend Thanos EVS, thank you for your super chat again. He says, 15 people came to John's funeral. I'm starting to have feelings for the keychain. The lights, the sounds, and the wheels got me hot. Hashtag Cracker Barrel. I mean, I can see you getting hot for Cracker Barrel. Their hash brown casserole is second to none. I just had dinner and I could go for some Cracker Barrel right now. But, there's nothing wrong with being turned on by your keychain. If it doesn't hurt you and you're not hurting anybody else, have at it. Have at it, my friend. Our friend Mr. Wonderful, thank you very much for your generous super chat. He says, facts. A thylacine was a Tasmanian tiger from Tasmania only. The Pilbara is a region of the Western Australian desert on the other side of the country. The book fails before it begins. So thank you, Mr. Wonderful. Clearly, you come from there. I can see where the A in front of the dollar sign comes from. But this is another thing. This almost seems disingenuous because if we scroll up in the article, it talks about how they worked closely with the writer/actor/director Sherry Sebens. And I believe this is Sherry Sebens down. No, this is not Sherry Sebens in here. This is just some lady. I don't know. So they don't really pay attention to the facts. They want to get the diversity points. They want to get the brownie points. And then they move ahead, and they don't really worry about the accuracy of these things. Now, this isn't the 1960s anymore. This isn't Stan Lee. This isn't Jack Kirby or Ditko or the other guys at Marvel, coming out with something cool and just making some pseudoscience up. Transistors, an Iron Man suit. Well, I know what a transistor radio is. Can it work for an Iron Man suit? Who knows? We're making it up. So let's just put some pseudoscience in there. But we're talking about something that's factually inaccurate, which doesn't sit well with a lot of people like you, Mr. Wonderful, or just people in general read this book and go, that's not right. And it comes off as disingenuous. Now, of course, we read fantasy and for escapism and all that stuff for the entertainment value. But there's just some things that just don't work. Verisimilitude. You have to have some realism in your world of fantasy. You have to be able to go, oh, well, I buy that a man can fly, but I also need to see that, there's still a military and they still use these types of weapons and all these things are somewhat feasible within the world. I think it just jumps back to the creators don't respect what they're making. Now, on the art side, this looks nice. No criticisms. Everything is well drawn, looks nice, like the color. It's a nice looking page. Whoever this artist is very talented. But I looked at this and I rolled my eyes and went, not again. I just don't get why DC or all these other companies they're forcing it. Fans aren't buying it. Here's the thing. The Fandom Menace would have no kind of traction, no kind of audience if we're all just full of shit where it's like, we make a video that says, this isn't really, that interesting, and people agree, and then we all talk about it, and more people come in and talk about it because they're disinterested. If it was like one dude in the back going, this looks like shit, and everyone else is applauding, then it would be like, well, that's his opinion, but it doesn't really represent a larger audience. So when you have me and Gary and Doomcock and Jesse and Anna and Ethan and Jeremy and all those other people in the Fandom Menace making these videos talking about, hey, this thing looks stupid, and then those videos get tons of views, people are just like, I guess there is a market, or the market isn't what we thought it was. Now, of course, you don't want to follow through with everything that the audience is going to say. You need to have a little, you need to practice discretion. Like with Baby Yoda, the smartest thing they ever did was not announce it before the show came out. Why? Because, of course, people would have been up in arms about it, Baby Yoda. I might have thought it was dumb, too. Thankfully, though, it was executed well, and that now gives The Mandalorian a little bit of latitude in the acceptance from the fan base. Now, on the other hand, we saw Dio and we saw Babu Frick from the new Star Wars films, based off of our experiences with Porgs and based off of our experiences with BB-8. A lot of people were hesitant to accept it. Dio was a dumb character. Babu Frick, some people liked, some people hated. I was more indifferent. I thought it was a dumb design, but he came and went. He was a small part of the story. But the point I'm trying to make with that comparison is these companies have to just go with what they think without making it preachy or dumb. And this doesn't really come off as anything but that. Of course, if you want to have an international group of superheroes, that's cool, but it feels like they only exist to be an international group of superheroes. The Avengers came together because they're Earth's mightiest heroes and that sort of thing. And as more evil sprung up, more heroes appeared. It wasn't like, when Nick Fury, and don't give me that bullshit that Captain Marvel was the first Avenger. Captain America was. Captain Marvel wasn't even a thought when Nick Fury was putting this team together. But you can't tell me that when Nick Fury was sitting down, he thought, I need a group of heroes that are going to help us face, the greatest threats to humanity. I better make sure they're diverse. No, he's looking for the most powerful ones available, the ones that are interested in doing good, the ones that can help the cause. It's, he went for Tony Stark because he's Tony Stark. He had the ability to do these things. He's a weapons manufacturer. He was actually open with his identity. He didn't go to Wakanda to try to look for diversity first, like they would today. The team fit great, then they introduced Black Panther later on, type of thing. But I feel like if this was a real life thing, like, we're just the international group of heroes, but they might not be the best trained. They'd be like the Great Lakes Avengers or the West Coast Avengers or something. You're a tertiary team at best. Yeah, you can get put in a book, but you're not going to be selling movie tickets anytime soon. And the way these properties go, the way these companies are going, if we look at Disney and Warner Brothers maybe one day, if you don't have these big properties, you can only milk Batman for so long until you hit the wall. Now, luckily, with the DCEU, so we think, they haven't hit a wall with Batman. Ben Affleck played Batman twice. He seemed pretty accepted. I liked him enough. But then you have Pattinson or Bat Pat coming in. And with the humanist approach and people not accepting him of his pedigree with Twilight, the bad suit, nothing's guaranteed. But if Batman fails, you got to have one more, something backup to make sure it works. The books are made for Marxist liberals or Marxist libraries. I don't know who these books are for, but all I know is that they're not for me. And I won't be buying this book, just like I won't be buying the other plethora of DC books. Let's see. Yeah, the new school can go to hell, Ramuno. We also have our friend DeMille Jr. Thank you very much. He says, ask your doctor about thylacine. Side effects may include optical bleeding and explosive projectile diarrhea. That sounds like the plot hole thing I made for the Ray video today. If I ever do a video on this shit, I'm going to talk about it like that. It makes me, I don't know, it makes my head hurt. I don't know if I'm having a cerebral hemorrhage or, I don't know, a brain-melting experience. Like at the end of Batman Forever. Bummer, as I lose all the information. There's just too many questions. Obviously, folks, the number one question is why? Why would DC make this? We'll never know. But this is probably the last you'll hear about it from a lot of people because when's this book going to come out? It seems like every time they announce something sooner, it's like, we have to be pushed back another month. Oh, this, oh, that. It's weird, too, to think that Marvel and DC, and look, they didn't plan this. Nobody planned this virus. Nobody planned all this shit out. But it's kind of funny how they have these books coming out that are very unattractive to the audience. And eventually, when people go back to the stores, they're going to be hungry for what they were reading, where they picked up, or where they left off, excuse me. So if Joe Blow was reading Spider-Man, Batman, Wonder Woman, and I don't know, East of West, they're going to go back and pick those next issues up as soon as they're available. They're not going to go, oh man, I got to get caught up on the whatever this fucking team is or the new Warriors. Like, nobody's going to do that shit. Books will sit there. They'll rot. The stores will pay tax and nobody will be happy. Ian Slater, thank you very much. So wrong with Osaida. We Ricans don't claim her. You know, I don't even know which character that's supposed to be Ian, to be perfectly honest. Because is it the dude? Is that a woman? I don't know. It kind of looks like Nia Jax. I guess it. I don't even know what I'm looking at. I don't even know how to answer that. Thank you, Ian, though. Thank you very much. But yeah, that is DC's newest SJW nightmare. We'll see this book rot for quite a while. So there we go. The Bathroom Warriors use it as TP. Superfan Adam Shawhan has it right. But I think Salvador has a great point, though. I think counting your chickens before they hatched is lost on all this contemporary media outlets. I think it's lost, too. I think that the agenda that these companies want to push, there's not an audience for it. Like I said a minute ago, you have all these big IPs, DC. Maybe you focus on making them great. People were up in arms about Batman's bad wedding. People were upset about Superman after the Rebirth relaunch and stuff like that. Maybe just focus on getting those things in order, because no matter how much you want to try, your big three properties, even if you have more than three DC, besides the holy trinity of characters, there's also the Flash, which he's out there choking people. People still watch that show and buy the books and the toys. There's Green Lantern, which has a huge audience. There's obviously Martian Manhunter, Red Tornado, all kinds of characters that I can't even think of off the top of my head. KG Beast. There you go, folks. How about a KG Beast film? Batman killed that guy in the book. Well, we thought he killed him. He just left him to rot in the sewer, and I think closed it up. So make that movie. I'll go buy 2 tickets. I don't know, Kelvin. Maybe. So they will be great. Folks, if your power ever goes out during this apocalyptic time, you can go and make sure that you have plenty of copies of the New Warriors and this book, as well as Gotham High, available for nothing soon, because it's not even worth the paper it's printed on, and you'll be able to go out and keep yourselves warm, or stay in and keep yourselves warm. There we go. Animal Man. Great character. Great choice. Now, see, I never had a chance to watch the Doom Patrol or the Swamp Thing television series because they were on the DC streaming service, which I paid for a whole year of, and I used it like once. So I need to go back if I'm going to re-sign up before it gets taken away, and I need to check those shows out, because I did enjoy the Marvel stuff over on Netflix. I was hoping that DC streaming platform would give us a similar level of quality just on that front. Maybe I'm being too optimistic. Maybe I'm trying too hard to care. That's not the case. Now, speaking of caring, it's obvious when a company doesn't care. It's obvious to the fans. It's obvious to the people that make the project. And so Daisy Ridley, a.k.a. Rey Skywalker, is in the news today. Let's just look at a picture of her. Yes, we have to look at her and her strong shoulders and her proud lightsaber that she stole from Luke. Where are we at? Right here. Like I said in today's video, folks, this woman walked into the Millennium Falcon, Luke Skywalker, and their family lineage. And there we are right there. So, Daisy Ridley details she was upset after reading headlines for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. Well, Daisy, I was upset. I was devastated after reading and watching and seeing everything there was about The Rise of Skywalker. Then the film itself was the final nail in the coffin for Disney Star Wars. Modalicious, thank you very much for your super chat. Says, wasn't Swamp Thing an SJW eco-terrorist's wet dream? Like the original one? All I know is I've seen clips of the Adrian Barbeau Swamp Thing from back in the day. And I don't know what the new one's like. It could be. Somebody in the chat says they wanted to like the show. I think that's one of the worst feelings in terms of consuming entertainment. Like, I want to like this thing. Other people like this thing. I can see that there's merit and value, but it just doesn't click with me. I'm trying to give a good example about that. A certain anime is like that with me. I want to like certain bands, or I want to like certain movies. I can't get into it. It never really clicked with me a certain way. I think the closest thing is like, I'm trying to give a good example. I want to love Star Trek The Next Generation, but nothing in there clicks with me the way the old show does. I don't have a connection to the characters. I don't have any kind of affection towards that. I mean, I can see its merit. I like Jean-Luc Picard, but that's how I feel about it. So that's to me, that's my definition of wanting to like something. Jay Hando 4, thank you very much for your super chat. Do DC and Marvel have blinders on? What's the point? You know, Jay Hando 4, as soon as I figure out what the point is, I'll let you know. I don't think there is a point besides, well, realistically, your boy Zach had it right a couple of years ago. It all boils down to you get these people that don't care about money. They have no money. They care about their agendas. They care about power. They care about words. They don't care about things or buying power or anything like that. They just want to bitch online, and then they want to take your favorite things and they want to break them down into weird little boxes that no one wants to consume. And then they want to just throw those boxes in the trash along with all your memories and all the love you have for these characters, these publishing companies, these IPs, all this stuff. Brand loyalty isn't going to be a thing for these comic book or these entertainment producing companies. You could be loyal to the Coca-Cola brand because you love Coca-Cola. They've learned their lesson not to go back and change. Or you could be brand loyal to Target because they offer X, Y, and Z customer service at certain prices. But a company like a Disney or like a Marvel who owns, countless IPs, it's going to be hard to be loyal to everything that they represent. And they don't really represent quality entertainment anymore. When you're making these properties to make money, cool. I'm not going to hold it against you. But when you're making stuff to subvert our expectations, to be just a general dick, it just doesn't work. That's all I can say. Thank you, 16-bit mascot. I used to watch Weeds as well, even though that's a real song. So, talk about Daisy Ridley, though. Star Wars, the thing that everyone loves on this channel. This comes from Bounding Into Comics. This story is everywhere online. I'm just going to read you the highlights from this because I have the actual article up for a video I'm working on. So it's a Star Wars actor Daisy Ridley, who played Rey Skywalker in the Disney trilogy, recently detailed she was upset after she read headlines following the release of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. The actor appeared on Dragcast, where she talked about her Star Wars experience and was initially asked about how her legacy as a Star Wars actor has changed. Ridley answered, "It's changed film by film, honestly. Like 98%. It's so amazing. The last film was really tricky. January was not nice." She added, "It was weird. I felt like all of this love that we'd sort of been shown for the first time around, I was like, where's the love gone?" Well, Daisy, I can tell you where the love's gone. Right out the fucking window. Thank you, Ryan Johnson. I was watching the documentary, The Making of, this weekend. It's filled with so much love, and I think that's the tricky thing of when you're a part of something that's so filled with love, and then people, everyone is so entitled to not like something, but feels like it's changed slightly. But I think in general, that's because social media and what you have and what have you, Daisy Ridley responded. Ridley is then asked if the culture has changed due to social media with fans who feel they have a creative say. She answered, "I don't know. I think in general, people share so much on social media that, like, if I went on it, well, I don't have social media, but if I went to a film and I didn't like it, I wouldn't just tweet about it. But there's so much conversation. It's always been, again, so it's sort of fine." She then detailed how she was upset after reading headlines and reactions to moviegoers viewing The Rise of Skywalker. "I guess now conversations are just more public, so there's stuff I wouldn't have seen. But honestly, trying to scroll through my newsfeed in January and trying not to see Star Wars stuff, I'd see headlines like, 'Oh my God, this is so upsetting.'" She continued, it's tricky, but then it's having the thing that I feel really proud of, so I'm thrilled to be a part of that. It's a funny thing." So this goes on. I'm not going to keep going on to bore you because Daisy Ridley sucks. Actually, she might be an okay person, but I wanted to talk about the part where she goes, "I feel like all this love we'd been shown had been, or the first time around was like," and I was like, "Where's all the love?" Sorry, the way she's worded, the way she's quoted, it's very fragmenty, so my brain's trying to fill in like a normal sentence would be. But so Daisy Ridley, the thing I wanted to talk about to you directly is where has the love gone? It's like that Black Eyed Peas song, "Where is the love?" Well, let me tell you, it's gone, daddy, gone. The love is gone. No more song references. The thing is, you came out the whole marketing campaign of, "Oh my God, Star Wars is back. Let me give you Han, Luke, and Leia. Nostalgia, X, Y, and Z. Yay, go us. My childhood, your childhood, everyone's childhood. Remember the toys? Remember this? Remember the member berries? They're all back." And then the roofies wore off. We all understood what actually was going on. We understood the plans. We understood the motives. We've understood a lot as of late. For example, Ryan Johnson last week, we discussed how he intentionally wanted to deconstruct Star Wars and how he wanted to break apart the narrative that was in the Disney trilogy. And he did. He created a disjointed mess. And then you have Daisy Ridley and all these other yahoos out here trying to figure out what happened. Where'd the fans go? Everyone's so entitled to our opinion. But thanks to social media, we actually know why these movies suck. It's not just a movie that, producers had a say in it. Like I was watching this episode of Supernatural yesterday, and they had this producer who wanted to add all this extra crap in and tried to ruin this interesting, compelling film. And then in the story, he was killed off. But we don't have ghosts haunting the sets of Star Wars. We just have accountants and Kathleen Kennedy and her crew, her sycophants, to just say, hey, guys, this is going to be great. And then she just looks at them and smiles, and they think, oh, Kathy loves it. And there's this weird, like, fart-huffing, smug-inducing coma that is just prevalent on the set. All these people are just walking around, like, with their heads up their asses. This is so great. This is the greatest thing ever. And they don't realize how far removed they are from society, that they're the ones who are the broken ones. And the fans are just like, hey, this is not how Star Wars works. But apparently we're entitled to call them out on their bullshit. It's kind of interesting. We had John Boyega. Everyone's like, oh, John Boyega's Fandom Menace. I don't know. I don't really follow John Boyega on social media. He's never been, he's not my favorite part of Star Wars, but he's not my least favorite part of Star Wars. If somebody said to me, Jeff, what is the biggest missed opportunity in the Disney trilogy? I would say it was probably Finn. He started out somewhat compelling, and then by the end of the movie, he was a janitor, and all the wind had been taken out of his sails. He was a joke. So all these characters are jokes. And it's funny how Daisy Ridley, they talk about her Star Wars legacy and how it's changed by like 98%. Daisy Ridley's Rey is the definition of try too hard. They want to sell us this character. They want to tell us she's so great, but they don't really show us why. Greatness isn't, granted, it's earned, it's achieved. She hasn't achieved anything. It's, let me give you this, let me give you that. And in many ways, it's detrimental to the next generation. You watch these movies and you look at these characters and you think to yourself, well, X, Y, and Z, Luke Skywalker overcame this adversity, or this character overcame that adversity, and I can do it too. That's my favorite thing, and I want to be like them. And then you have somebody in the next generation that's like, well, Rey, what did Rey overcome? And then you think about it for a minute and you go, she was literally given stuff. She got away because the earth cracked. She got away because the room broke. She got away because the script says so. There's no believability with Rey. There's nothing that you look at and go, I'm motivated. I'm inspired by her. So when Daisy Ridley wants to talk about her legacy, that's where her legacy went. That's the reason her legacy is what it is. Superfan Adam Shine, thank you for Super Chat. He says, damn you, Jeff. Now I'm totally blind. Not Rey. No! Yes, that. I'm not sorry. Yeah, she never got hurt. She never struggled. She has both of her hands. That was always kind of a thing. You want to talk about paralleling a Star Wars trilogy to another Star Wars trilogy and it not sucking? The whole father-son losing their hand. And the second thing, it was a nice parallel to each other. Empire to Attack of the Clones. When we get to Rey, what happens? She gets a scratch on her head. Oh my God, a scratch. No, oh my God. And that's it. That's it. And nobody can get behind that. You'd think, oh, but little girls like Rey. She's so empowering. Is she, though? No. She's not really empowering. She's powerful. And I think we need to learn the difference between the word empowering and the word powerful. Because she's a wet dream. She is a power fantasy for all these dickhead writers in Hollywood. And all these people on these blogs, Mary Sue and all these other places. She is a power fantasy. She is a wet dream. And people talk about how James Bond is a male power fantasy. Guess what? Nobody denies that shit. No dude is out there saying, no, James Bond isn't that. He is. He is. But when you say it about Rey or you call her out on her faults, you're a sexist. You're not a sexist if you attack James Bond for, being that. Oh, no. There's a double standard and hypocrisy at hand. So, yes, stunning and brave. Yes, that was her trial of the flesh. A scratch. 'Tis but a flesh wound. Chuck E. Cheese, thank you very much. He says, I don't get why Disney would base such a large investment around this unproved actress that's just a generic, dull British twat. I don't get it either. I haven't seen anything from her outside of Star Wars, but I don't sit there and go, this is a cool character. Like Ewan McGregor, I don't think, had I ever seen anything before Phantom Menace? No, because I was 10 years old, so I wasn't watching Trainspotting at 10. I know everyone's like, Jeff, you've seen a ton of movies. I have, but at 10 years old, I think Trainspotting was right for me. But when you think about Daisy Ridley, she was in that Orient Express movie, and she was a cadaver in something else. But all her acting amounts to is standing there, opening your mouth, going, oh, snapping your fingers, or ripping off Bilbo Baggins from the Fellowship of the Ring. There's just so many little things that she doesn't do, like act or try or convince me that she's a hero. I would rather have a stereotypical hero than a non-existent hero. That's what Rey is to me, is a non-existent hero. She has very few traits that are, positive. And if you break down the things she achieves in the movie, what does she actually achieve? What is the story of the saga? Her saga. To find out who she is, a journey of self-identity underscored by war. What's the war about? How did we get to this war? We don't know. Watch The Mandalorian and you'll find out one day. Oh my God, that's so great. Now, it is fair to say that nobody in Star Wars was a big actor before their roles in Star Wars. And I'd say most didn't become big stars because of Star Wars. I know everyone likes to say Mark Hamill was this huge star after Star Wars. Not really. He did the Star Wars trilogy. He did some stuff, voice acting, and thanks to the internet, he's become more of a prominent figure. His voice as the Joker really has lived on. He's done all kinds of parts in movies and stuff, but realistically, his career post-Star Wars was nothing to write home about, and he himself would tell you that too. I think he went back to do like stage work and all this other stuff. Only Harrison Ford was super elevated before Star Wars. Now, Billy D. Williams, on the other hand, he had been in a bunch of stuff prior to Star Wars. Mahogany and a lot of black films and stuff like that. He was already considered the sex symbol. Then I think he had Colt 45 after Star Wars, so he had something. And he's had a career too. He's been in Batman. He's been in all sorts of things. Carrie Fisher was a little more like a Mark Hamill. She popped up in other stuff, but then she kind of went away. She was known as a ghostwriter on a lot of Hollywood scripts, and she wrote books and stuff like that. I think Postcard from the Edge was her book, her famous one that was adapted into a movie with Meryl Streep. So, Star Wars really wasn't a star maker, for, I guess, except for Harrison Ford. And if you want to argue other roles made him a star, then we can have that discussion. But, to bounce off what Chuck E. Cheese said, I don't really know why she was cast, though. She doesn't have the charisma that you would think. And you're like, well, she's supposed to be this nobody who eventually becomes a hero. But you know what? For the last 5 years, I've been told I have to wait till it's over till I can judge it. Well, guess what? It's over. It's done. That trilogy is complete. And I never saw the character actually grow. Luke Skywalker in the first film used his lightsaber to ward off a training droid, and he got shot in the process. He never ignited his lightsaber again. He didn't do anything. He shot some stormtroopers and he knew how to fly. That was something he knew how to do. By the time we get to the Empire or Return of the Jedi, though, he's doing flips, fighting off people. He's a much more ruthless, effective Jedi warrior, and he's doing all kinds of cool shit because this character grew. What did Rey do in the third one? She stabbed a dude and she fought through the Force and she dies and then comes back because Reus Ex Machina. That's all that happens. I don't know how she was cast, but I wish to be a fly on the wall would have been interesting. Yes, sir, Suisi, excuse me. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you like this, so thank you. So, yes, I'm well aware that Alec Guinness was huge before Star Wars. Bridge on the River Kwai. He won an Oscar for that, I believe. So, I mean, he is definitely he was a well-known actor. But, like, what's his name? I can't even think of it. Liam Neeson. Before Star Wars, he was a name. After Star Wars, he was a name. Ewan McGregor had a name before Star Wars, became much bigger after Star Wars, but Jake Lloyd, Hayden Christensen, and Natalie Portman was bigger too. But like the other ones, Tamara Morrison, what's he in? He's doing bit roles and stuff. He's never been this big household name. Samuel L. Jackson, arguably the biggest person to ever be in a Star Wars film, because before he was in Star Wars, he was already Samuel L. Jackson. He had been in tons of shit, And after Star Wars, he was Samuel L. Jackson and has been in a ton of shit. I would argue Star Wars didn't make him a star. But before and after, he probably had the best success, hands down. But, see, I don't know what Rey did. That's the thing. He was in Darkman. Qui-Gon Jinn was in Darkman. By the way, folks, if you haven't seen Darkman, watch it. It used to scare me as a kid. I was definitely afraid of getting burnt after that movie. Still am. I don't play with fire. So, everyone says he's the coolest mofo to be in Star Wars. Samuel L. Jackson is the coolest mofo probably in the world. Okay, Christopher Lee is another good point, too. But see, Christopher Lee was more like an Alec Guinness, who, prior to Star Wars, had this legendary career. Slowed down, but still had legendary roles. He was in Lord of the Rings, and everybody liked that, and that was a big deal. He was a Bond villain, but that was 30 years prior. And then he had done some stuff, but I mean, I wouldn't call him past his prime in a negative connotation. I wouldn't want to say he's past his prime, he's, let's throw him out. He just had been a bigger star and then had just kind of cemented himself as Christopher Lee. Sometimes you have these big actors who are known for all these roles, and then they reach a point where they're just them. Like Keanu Reeves is now just Keanu Reeves, and he really won't lose his status. Christopher Lee reached his certain level, and he never really lost his status. I believe he was in a rock band in his 90s or in his late 80s or whatever, so the dude was kicking ass. Yes, Christopher Lee was a spy in World War II, and his cousin was Ian Fleming, the creator of James Bond. So it's funny, too, how a lot of these actors back in the day led much more interesting lives than the actors of today. Maybe because it was the necessity of the time. It's World War II happened. Elvis went and fought. Stan Lee was in the military. Jack Kirby, all these guys, are involved with geek culture were in the military. And then you have a ton of British actors who are off doing stuff like that. Nowadays, because of the way society is, we don't really have this great threat. Post 9/11, we had a war, but I didn't see actors. It wasn't this world war. We didn't see actors joining the cause and doing the stuff. We just had people like Alec Baldwin teaming up with, what's his name? Kim Jong-il? Alec Baldwin? Yeah. People are like, what are you talking about? That was Team America World Police. But nowadays, celebrities just take up for a cause. They don't actually fight for anything. Like I brought up Elvis. Dude was in the war. All these other people just went out and put their lives in line. Sometimes people didn't come back. There are a lot of famous comic book artists who went off to World War II, didn't come back. And it was sad, but that's just the reality of the situation. But those were more noble people than today's actors. You don't have a lot of older actors that may have been, fought in World War II, are still around because they're at the end of their life. We don't hear them bitching about, all these fake made-up issues, the diversity, the representation. Oh, this person in these 1,200 pronouns and all this other bullshit. No, they're worried about real shit, like not dying or, cholera. But that's even before that. Jimmy Stewart was a bomber pilot and flew something like 100 missions. See, I didn't even know that, so respect to him. Mr. Rogers was a sniper? Did not know that. But you guys get the point I'm trying to make, though. These actors actually did something outside of act. They contributed to society. It's funny how the virus, the quarantine, has made everyone realize just how little some of these actors and celebrities contribute to society. Now, some of these people have done a lot of them have not. So there we go. But this Daisy Ridley thing just made me realize, not even realize, I knew this, but it was just nice to have some validation that they know, the people in Hollywood, they know about us, not necessarily us here in this stream right now, but they know about the contingency of people that dislike the Star Wars films. They know the love isn't there. They see the box office, the dwindling returns. To me, this type of article is validation, and it's a slap in the face for every one of these anti-fandom managers that are like, you guys are just making it up. We've never been just making it up. First off, you can't make up facts like this from Daisy Ridley. This is just shit she's talking about. These are the things. We've seen other articles come out. We've had other pieces of information. Again, last week, Rian Johnson himself. We heard from the editor of the film, or not the film, but of films from J.J. Abrams, who knew that he tore apart the continuity for the sake of subverting the audience to try to deconstruct Star Wars. So all this does is give us another look at the inner workings of how Star Wars died. And it'll be interesting. This is just another note that I want to add to make more content because it's ammunition for us. It's something that we can go and say, hey, we weren't wrong. We weren't making this up, and they knew about it. Oh, a lot of people are talking about actors and the causes in the chat. By the way, shout out to the chat. We got 722 watching. Do me a favor. If you're enjoying this stream, if you like Fandom Menace tonight, if you're alive, there we go. That's a base one. If you're breathing, hit that thumbs up button and let me know that you're still with me here in the chat. By the way, Jesse, Superfan Adam Shawhan says hi.
Hi, Adam Shawhan.
I did not know that Gene Roddenberry was an Army pilot. Then a Los Angeles cop before he made Star Trek. See, again, that'd be like me telling you guys, I'm this big Star Trek fan. I know everything about it. I knew shit about Star Trek outside of I like the first show and the movies. It can be fun. So I didn't know that about Gene Roddenberry. So let's see. Wise Guys Entertainment, what's up to you? We almost had a chance to meet at Cincinnati Horror Hound, but we did not. And I'm sad for that. So what else do we got tonight on the docket, folks? Quite a bit, actually. So Kevin Feige was talking about, excuse me, not recently, but there's an article that came out today talking about Kevin Feige's plans for the MCU way back in 2006 and how the audience cheered and how they stuck with the plan. And now this is a little teaser for something I got coming up soon. The Marvel plan isn't really planned out anymore. It's, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, Disney bought these IPs with the hopes of, milking them, doing tons of things with them. You don't buy Star Wars to just make Star Wars movies for 5 years and stop. You barely made your money back. Well, they paid what, 4.2 or 4.3 billion dollars, and then you have to think, well, the movies made, let's see, the first one made 2, and then the next one made 1. Solo was a fair and lost money. So you made more than you put in, but you have to take into account that's the box office. We don't know what Disney's actual profit was. They don't ever take that into account. People always look at the numbers and say they were so successful, they made this much money, but the studios didn't make that much money. But that Star Wars Disney never wanted to just make this for 5 years. They wanted to do this for 25 years. But again, they took agenda first over story, and that never works out for them. Do you think The High Republic's going to be breaking the charts? Do you think it's going to be a New York Times bestseller? If it's the only book that comes out for that period of time, sure. But it's not going to be the thing they think it is, because they haven't really demonstrated the IP value to the next generation. If you're online and you don't really like Star Wars, all you hear is about how great the other ones were. And if you're smart, you realize, well, if the other ones are great, but these ones aren't, well, this is from a new company, so why should I get excited? I can go back and watch the old stuff, and that's about it. TFM Knight, thank you very much for your super chat. I'm contributive. I've been putting my arse on the line during the pandemic. Thank you very much, TFM Knight. I don't like to ask too many personal questions of the audience because I don't want anybody to get accidentally doxxed or anything like that. But whatever you're doing, I appreciate your contribution. If you'd like to tell me more, we can talk about it on air, no problem. But if you don't want to share anymore, thank you very much. That's all I can say. But there's a lot of people out there that are contributing. Like we joked earlier, you'll see that the people at your grocery store, your truck drivers, or X, Y, and Z, so-and-so at Walmart, in the time of need, you need them more than you realize. So I guess my thing would be like, you can't really afford to go like give these people money or do shit, but like just be nice, make their jobs easier by not being that customer from the story. When I worked for the pop company, 7-Up, and I would put pop in all kinds of grocery stores, you would hear people in the back talking about this customer or that customer. And that's the best thing I think you can do for anybody that's out there, during this time, is just don't be the customer in the story. Don't be a Karen, if you will. Dudes can be Karens too. Don't be a Karen. Don't ask to see someone's manager. Not everyone's having the greatest days. Not everyone's able to do whatever. But sometimes you just get this customer that wants to make your life hell. Oh, I'll have your job. Have my job. Do it. That's what these people should say. Have my job. Do what I do, and see how happy you'll be. Hopefully, that's what changes. Excuse the random silences, folks. I had to mute my mic. We have cat hair in the apartment, and I don't really want to cough on air, so I'm doing that to not cough in your ears. That's my number one priority right now. So, it'd be nice if Marvel made a good Fantastic Four film. I don't think so. There's definitely not a lot of excitement for that. I mean, personally, I would like to see this great Fantastic Four film and have my mind blown. Something in the vein of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. But I foresee them taking the fan four stick approach because they want to get the internet brownie points. No, I don't have allergies to the from the cats at all. Just they shed, and sometimes I get hair in my throat, and cough, drink a little water, everything's good. So I've lived out here for many months, and I've had no issues with the cats, besides them knocking shit off the table. Now, tomorrow night, folks, we always talk about the after party over on Mindless Entertainment. Tomorrow night, you're going to want to join me because I've decided I'm getting rid of my coronavirus beard. And I've decided that I'm going to do it on camera over there. So I'll make the announcement on the High Council. It'll be a lot of fun.
Do you think that getting rid of your coronavirus beard is a sign that the coronavirus is slowing its...
I hope it's a sign that the virus is slowing its spread. I mean, all the people that are driving up and down the streets seem like they don't want to stay at home anymore, so they're just going out. Like, traffic seems to be picking back up. I'm not saying it's back to normal, but it's not been quiet the last couple of days.
It has not been.
So folks out there that are listening right now thinking, Jeff, what happened? Do you live on a racetrack? Maybe I do. Maybe I do. But I'll tell you what I do. Yes, I said do twice. Is I'm going to shave this damn thing off. I'm tired of it. It's a sign, and I think you guys can help. Over on Jesse's stream tomorrow night, I'll broadcast it, and I can shave it into really stupid mustaches. So maybe I'll do the shitty biker from the Village People, or Mutton Chops, or the Wolverine. There's only one mustache I'm not shaving this shit into, and you know what it is, so don't ask. Other than that, nothing is off limits. So let me show you the link in the chat for this, and it'll be fun. There we go. You can join us in the after party.
That's the birthday tomorrow, though, right?
Yes, that's tomorrow after the High Council. I'm going to announce it again. I'm getting people excited so they can subscribe to your channel so they don't miss it. You'd like to hear my opinion on the Force diversity in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. I have not watched much past, actually any past the first episode, because I don't enjoy the show. It's not about being negative. It's not trying to shit on Disney's parade or anything like that. For me, I watched it, and I was like, all right, cool, it's back. And I don't know. Maybe it's everything else with Star Wars, but I just watched it, and I had no interest. I mean, I do eventually want to watch it. I planned on watching it and reviewing it, but it was just hard. It was just hard. That's all I can say. Oh, Hail Hydra, thank you. I know you can go outside, folks, but we live in a fairly well-traveled area, and it's been dead for a couple weeks. And all of a sudden, everyone's just, out and doing shit like crazy. So there we go. Oh, so the recording is getting false flagged. That's what's happening. Okay. I didn't know. I don't really follow his videos because we're all going to cover similar topics, but I never want to be accused of ripping anybody off. So I just go through the sources and find my own stuff to talk about. YouTube drama, I usually leave that to those types of channels, but I wish him the best. He's always been friendly to me. So, Mom always said, treat people the way they treat you. He was on the first episode of the High Council. If you guys can go back and find that, it will be a fun one. All right, Justin Smith, Mr. Smarty Pants, shave it into a Charlie Chaplin mustache. Well, that's the one I just won't do. But Justin Smith, thank you very much for your super chat. Our friend Big Go Big Boar or Go Home says, have Jesse shave your face with a straight razor.
No, thank you.
I guess Jesse's afraid of straight razors?
No, straight razors are fine. I've never shaved anything with a straight razor. I'm not trusting your pretty face to my hand.
Thank you. I'm not either.
Thank you.
Go Big Boar, Go Home. I'm just going to use the beard trimmer on it. I don't have any shaving cream yet. Maybe I'll go out and get some and do a wet shave at the end. And then I'll come back. What you'll do is send me the link. I'll get it on my phone, and I will broadcast. I'll turn the audio off, and I'll just have it sitting there, and I'll read the messages. And people are like, "Oh, all right, do this one." I'll just do it on camera.
You can do that, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be funny. You can still be in here, and I'll be in the satellite location, aka the bathroom.
That's nice.
Shave it into a dirty Sanchez. I don't think you can shave it into a dirty Sanchez. You have to just not. I know how that goes. We're not doing that on there. Have Jesse shaved my head with a sword. That's called a decapitation, buddy. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. So, folks, we have a little bit of time left tonight. I wanted to share this too because sometimes things are fucking obvious. Now, do me a favor in the chat, folks. Share me the most obvious statement you can share with me. Seriously, I really want an obvious one. Oh, coconut oil works as a shaving cream substitute. I did not know that. So let's see. Shave my head and wear a mask to look like Bane. Yeah, I could do that. I could actually do the voice better if I wasn't, half-assing it. All right, so let's see. Water is wet. The Last Jedi is bad. This sucks. Thank you, Dark Pierce. I hate sand. The world is fucked up. Well, I'm going to show you guys the most basic, obvious statement ever. Why did Batman vs. Superman suck so bad? Because Jesse Eisenberg they're given 90 minutes to read the script. So, according to Batman v Superman star Jesse Eisenberg, he had access to the script for only 90 minutes when he was deciding on the Lex Luthor role. So, is that an obvious statement right there, folks? I mean, he's definitely the shittiest part of that film. And now we know why. Oh, you have 90 minutes to decide. Yeah, back in the day, they had to court Gene Hackman with the script to be Lex Luthor. They had all these things. That's cool, Dark Pierce. I see you, man. There was a script. Yes, there was a script. Why so little time? I don't know. See, the thing is, I don't think Jesse Eisenberg's a terrible actor. He would never be considered a favorite, but I like Zombieland quite a bit, actually. He was good in, what was that one he was in? Fuck. What's the one with Kristen Stewart and Bill Hader? Adventureland.
Oh.
That was okay. He was pretty good in that. Jesse Eisenberg's been in some decent roles.
Zombieland, he's great.
Of course, that's the first one I said. Okay. And then, he was also in Social Network. Never saw the Social Network. Let's see. Now You See Me. I liked Now You See Me. The Art of Self-Defense. Okay. So, yes.
I don't really think he's a good actor. I think it was just that was a miscast.
Oh, I agree. I'm saying he's a solid actor and a lot of good stuff. 30 minutes or less was fun. I liked that. So I like the dude, but he's a terrible Lex Luthor. He was the worst choice possible because, again, when it comes back earlier, we're talking about that DC SJW comic book team, whatever. We'll call them Six Shot for now. They don't really know what they're writing for. They look at what's popular and trending. They're not trying to make anything that stands the test of time. They're trying to get people with their short attention spans to buy something, go, that was cool, and then never come back again. They have the initial purchase. I think the smart approach is to get something that interests people and then keeps them around, and you build a name for yourself. IP, writer, whatever it is, you keep people interested for a long time. So trying to make your Lex Luthor be like Jesse or be like Mark Zuckerberg was not smart, because now Mark Zuckerberg is thought of in a different light than he was in 2016. Young, probably even earlier, because if the movie came out in 2016, they were working on it 2013, maybe even 2012 or earlier. They were planting the seeds for this shit, especially because if Man of Steel came out in 2013, they had the Wayne Enterprises truck or satellite or something like that in the film, so they clearly had ideas how they wanted to tie things together, and they knew where they were going. But Zuckerberg's just a different person after his Senate hearings and the way those all panned out, and everyone jokes that he's a robot. It doesn't really age well. When you think of Lex Luthor, you think of two versions. You either think of the classic mad scientist, the greatest scientific mind of all time, or you think of the John Byrne Lex Luthor is a ruthless businessman a la Gordon Gekko, or the Superman animated series version voiced by Clancy Brown. To me, those are the only two versions of Lex Luthor that are really in people's minds. And I think the businessman one works great. If you're going to make another Superman film and you're going to make Lex Luthor the villain, make him like the president. It's fucking what he was. That's what Lex Luthor had to be based off of in the 80s. I don't know how popular he was prior to 1986, Donald Trump. I know he was in stuff or a part of stuff, the culture. But like, once you get to the late 80s, early 90s, like Biff from Back to the Future 2 is based off of him. That's essentially what Lex Luthor would be, but a genius version of him. So Mark Zuckerberg, just you went with the wrong approach. And it makes sense, though, that you only had 90 minutes to read the script. So it says, Jesse Eisenberg revealed that he only had 90 minutes to read the DC Extended Universe film script before making the decision. Describing Chris Terrio's script as one of the most dense scripts I've ever read intellectually. Eisenberg revealed how the screenplay was deleted from his computer after 90 minutes elapsed. So I sat down to read it, and it just took forever because it was so dense. There were references to things I'd never heard of. I was shocked, Eisenberg told Konbini, because I'd never seen a superhero movie, because I live in a bubble or whatever, and so I thought it was just going to be people flying around for hundreds of pages. Unfortunately for Eisenberg, due to the dense nature of the script, he wasn't able to finish reading it in time. He explained that because the narrative was so intellectually probing, he couldn't get through all of it and had to request an extension. I don't know how many people watching that movie know his references or if they stayed in the final cut of the film, but that script was one of the most dense scripts I've ever read, because this guy who wrote it, he's a genius. It was weird in that kind of a movie to have dialogue that is so sophisticated and it's like referencing Greek literature and philosophy and all this great moral struggles of the world, but in this kind of superhero movie. So I never thought that anything from the DCEU was intellectually dense or compelling or interesting. Yeah, they should have cast Bryan Cranston as 100% correct. Dude was great. But yeah, I never really thought of these things as, these deep pieces of entertainment that required such a complex script. Sometimes basic is better. And I am not a Marvel fanboy. I sit and talk about how I feel like it's over, but they didn't take that approach. They made it accessible. They made it fun. These films need to be fun. Christopher Nolan shit is over. His era, his reign was successful. People loved it. It came and it went. Let's stop trying to capture the Dark Knight. It's not going to happen again. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Even Nolan himself couldn't capture it again with Dark Knight Rises. It's a lesser film in every way. Some people love it. Some people hate it. That's fine. You're right, your opinion. But it's so much lesser of a film. It has less to say than The Dark Knight did. It's not as compelling action-wise. Oh, it's bigger. It's bigger. It's got a much bigger scale, Jeff. It's got the fight in the street. It's got the fight here. It's got the fight there. That's awesome. I don't even remember the context of those fights, though. People are in a sewer for months on end, this and that and the other. It's just dumb when you really break it down. But what's even dumber is to try to capture that magic. Now, our friend Bruce Lombardo, thank you very much, Bruce. Bruce says, shave your head, shave the stash, and leave a soul patch. I'm continuing our movement. We love big-bottomed women, and we cannot lie. Well, Bruce, I am with you there 100% about the big-bottomed women. The soul patch part of my beard is the weakest part. It's about 7 hairs, so I would look like... I wouldn't even look like a cool version of Scott Ian. But now I'm going to keep the hair. I'm going to let that grow until I can get out and get a haircut from some place. I feel like haircutting should be essential, but whatever. It makes sense. Like I was reading a story about this guy who was giving in-home haircuts who died from the virus. So sorry about him, but still, it's crazy. NA, thank you very much, says the bald antagonist in Shazam should have been Lex. Oh, Mark Strong? He would have been a good choice. Mark Strong is a very good actor. I liked him a lot in Kingsman. I won't tell anybody about Kingsman 2 if you haven't seen it, because it's still fairly recent, 2 years. But I really liked his role in that film. And he was good in Shazam. He was even in Green Lantern. He was pretty good as Sinestro. So it'd be kind of weird to have him as Sinestro and Lex Luthor. But hey, Captain America, or Chris Evans was Captain America and the Human Torch. So it doesn't matter. Phantom Knight 101 says, Jeff Hicks is not a white man. That is accurate. Thank you, Phantom Knight 101, for your super chat. I am not. Sometimes I joke that's why they don't put me in the Fandom Menace pictures with the cutouts of the heads. I'm like, that seems convenient. But I really don't think that. I just joke. Mark Strong was in Shazam. Yes, he was. He was the bad guy with the weird eye. Cut it like Joe Exotic. I don't get my sex appeal from my curls like Joe Exotic does. I can't do the blonde thing. I can't do the Prince Albert either. Wouldn't Jessie be willing to cut your hair? She could give you a bowl cut like John Malin's wife gave him. With all respect to John Malin, I can't do a bowl haircut. No, we don't even have a bowl that would fit my head.
You also physically just can't. Like,
no,
your hair would not.
My hair doesn't take that shape. Sorry, there'll be no bowl cuts around here. So, what else do we got for tonight? We're getting close, folks. So if you got any questions for me, let me know. We're here multiple nights this week. Again, tomorrow night is the High Council. That'll be a good night. Wednesday, Fandom Menace tonight with me, and then the podcast on Thursday night. And this week we have a very special occasion for you fine folks. Terminator Dark Fate Drunk Commentary with Dion. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be fun. You're going to listen to a grown man cry on air. So if you'd like to hear a grown man's spirit break, join us. What? You'll be here. You'll hear it.
I can't wait.
You can't wait. Neither can I.
The breaking of Dion brings my life's joy.
Yeah, you hate him. I know you don't.
So firmly.
I know.
So much.
I know. So let's see. What's the chat asking? Let's see. Bull cuts need to be accompanied by buck teeth. Yeah, Simple Jack style. Village People Biker Stash. People really like the idea of me shaving this thing on air. So your stream is going to be a very unique one. A satellite location in the bathroom. Tomorrow night. So let's see. What else we got? Put on Freddie Mercury's pants. Dude, I couldn't even get one leg into both of his pants legs. That is a tiny dude. So, go with an afro. All right, riding Sonic. I'm already there pretty much. Just brush it out into one.
It's going to look more extreme when you're, that's usually when you're full clean shaven. It's just tease out the fro a little.
Maybe. The only problem I would have with that is, since I don't go on camera much, everyone will screenshot this shit, and I don't want to get turned into like, hey, this is what he really looks like. I'm like, I did this as a joke, you know? That's why
different iterations of facial hair are the same thing is gonna.
It's true. The nice part, though, is once somebody requests one once, and I have to go so deep for it, I can't like randomly grow it back and make it look like whatever. Sometimes like shave it into mutton chops, and then everything else goes already. So if the first person says mutton chops, it just goes to mutton chops, and then that's the end of it.
Oh, to take multiple. We don't have to go with the first suggestion right away.
Maybe we do.
We'll compile suggestions and go in the most logical order.
Give yourself an old-timey 1930s handlebar mustache. Say? Maybe. Burn the Disney Trilogy live. I don't own the Disney Trilogy to burn. If you want to watch that video, we were at Ethan's house. We burned his copy of The Last Jedi at his home. It was fantastic. It was a lot of fun. So, I'm trying to think. We had a lot of topics. I kind of covered them all. We went through all of them quickly. It was a fun way to start the week. Like I was telling you guys at the very beginning of the show, the weekend was fun. We had Easter. We had Passover. It was a good time had by all. So I can't really complain too terribly much. My first Passover was a good Passover. Oh, here's the thing I wanted to share with you guys since we talked about DC real quick. Henry Cavill. Everyone in the Fandom Menace seems to like Henry Cavill. We always have nice things to say about him as an actor. This is what he's doing during quarantine. Henry Cavill is just like us, painting Warhammer figurines to get through quarantine. Henry Cavill praises the plastic crack that is Game Workshop's Warhammer miniatures. Witcher and Superman actor Henry Cavill is passing time in self-isolation by proving his geek bona fides on social media, namely by painting Warhammer miniatures. In an Easter message to his followers, Cavill posted to his Instagram account of him painting a helmet for a Warhammer figure. And the painting looks pretty good, actually. I'm not going to read the entire thing, but he says, considering we're both going through Easter period and going through the lockdown, I figured it was a good time to put a silver lining onto the cloud that is some of the darker moments during this time, Cavill posted. So I've decided to polish some old skills and try my hand at some new ones. It's time to rebirth after all. It is a time of rebirth after all. So it just seems like everything Henry Cavill puts out there publicly, it's like, you're a cool dude. So it's kind of a nice, positive way to look at all of these things. Get Henry to join the Fandom Menace. I would love to. Maybe I'll call him up since I have everybody's phone number. You know, if I had everybody in Hollywood's phone number, we would get drunk and call, I don't know, Steven Seagal and just taunt him at night or something. Like, hey, Steven, remember the time you messed up your relationship with Kelly LeBrock? No. See, that's why we don't have their phone numbers, because we'd be the worst. Yes, Cavill is all class. He's I think he is a good Superman, but he hasn't had a good movie yet. Give it time. Maybe, DC gives us one more Superman flick with Henry Cavill, and it's something fun. But you know what's going to happen. They're going to reboot it, recast it. J.J. Abrams is going to be involved. And hopefully through the quarantine, everyone realizes when we get to the other side of it that J.J. Abrams is a hack. and he's full of shit, and he's just good at one thing: repurposing old properties. And even nowadays, he's lost his magical touch on how to repurpose things. Oh, Bruce, what figurines are you painting? Warhammer? Because it'd be fun to get into that. I just don't have the space or the time. So, and people seem to like him in Mission Impossible too. Jesse, you like him in Mission Impossible as well, right? Henry Cavill?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mission Impossible. You said Mission Impossible 2. I thought you meant literally 2.
Oh,
like,
T-O-O.
Not in that one. Yes, I did.
Did Henry Cavill even act in the year 2000? Probably not. I don't know. Wonder Woman 84 is the right time for Wonder Woman and Superman to meet. Well, Gunnar Renee Oli, if Wonder Woman 84 takes place in 1984 and it's the same timeline, Superman doesn't become Superman until 2013. So the timeline wouldn't sync up. I think what they're trying to do with Wonder Woman is give her her own unique solo stories and not have to have the universe planned out. It's like if we put her in this timeline, we don't have to go back and forth and worry about what this hero is doing or that hero is doing. So we'll. He's in The Count of Monte Cristo. I think that was like 02.
2002. His first film appearance was Laguna in 2001.
Okay, so 2001 was his first role. So no, he couldn't have been in Mission Impossible 2.
Obviously.
There we go. He wasn't that kid in Sydney, Australia. Timmy number 4. Yeah, it is kind of sad though. Oh, okay. So, we got a nice update from our friend Infinite Wonder. It says, in case you're wondering, Henry's painting a Custodes model, the Emperor's personal bodyguards. Basically, the super soldiers to the super soldiers. Huh. Well, there we go. See, little bitty piece of information like that are fun. Because I had no clue I was like, is that a genie? Is that a whatever? I don't know. Now I do know. Ralph was a decent Superman. Ralph was fine as a Superman. It would be wrong for me to say he was the worst Superman. That would go to. I don't want to say Dean Cain because I liked Dean Cain as a kid. This is hard. Who's the worst Superman on film? Ugh. Who played Superman after Kirk Allen? There we go. I don't even know if he was a bad Superman, but I've never seen him. But Kirk Allen. Who the hell's Kirk Allen? I don't know. He played Superman in the 40s in a serial. We should try to get Henry Cavill on the High Council. You said High Republic. I think you mean High Council. I'd love to have Henry Cavill on the High Council. How fun would that be? We might have a guest for the High Council coming up. And it's not just like, it's just a YouTuber or something like that. It's somebody really cool. So we've been working out some stuff. Oh, Tom Welling. I forgot Tom Welling even played Superman. So there we go. Maybe we'll put... Tom Welling will be the worst Superman because did he even play him technically? He was Clark until the final moments of the series finale, which I never saw an entire episode of Smallville, but I did watch the last part. I was over at Joel's house and he had it on his DVR, and I was just like, okay. So, Nicolas Cage technically on film. Okay, fine, Brandon. Technicality, you win. Those are the sweetest kind of wins. The technicality. Nicolas Cage technically played. There we go. Go Big Borgo says, thanks for saying I'm not really cool, Jeff. You're welcome, Go Big Borgo home. You're the coolest. Plus, I feel like if I don't tell you you're cool, you won't let me shoot all those sweet guns. So you're the coolest. But by the way, thanks for the intro you recorded for Jesse. I like that a minute, so that was a lot of fun. So, folks, I think I'm going to cut out about 5 minutes early tonight. I'm going to get ready to, go on the Mindless Entertainment stream. Let me share the link again. And I got to get prepared for that and do a couple of other things. So, it's been a fun night. It's been night 1 of Fandom Menace tonight. I think what I'm going to start doing, folks, is I'm going to start archiving these over on our secondary channel, which is already monetized. So, if you guys have not been subscribed to that channel, it is the GMPC WCBS archive channel. It's linked in. Go to our main channel and check it out. I'll show it to you guys right now real quick so you guys know what I'm talking about, so I don't think I'm just crazy. But if you go over to subscription, go to my channel, and we go to right here, this channel, Good Morning Pop Culture, we have a secondary channel. It's the official World Class Bullshitters archive. So I'm thinking about putting these over here to see if the algorithm can kind of get back into some normalcy. So we'll see what's up. We had a super chat from our friend McKinney90. Thank you very much, McKinney90. He says, be honest, Jeff. You'd be prank sending people endless angry voicemails to Ryan Johnson if you had everyone's phone number in Hollywood. I would. I'm going to be honest. I'm not going to lie, McKinney90. You caught me. Who else? Who would you guys prank in terms of celebrities, folks? Who would you find? Like, realistically, I think the first celebrity I would prank call is Alec Baldwin when he's drunk. Because I don't like Alec Baldwin. I would not hesitate to call him a motherfucker on air. Anywhere. Fuck you, Alec Baldwin. That would be my thing. You miss Good Morning Pop Culture. Well, I don't live on the Eastern time zone anymore, so what my morning would be is like, hey, it's the afternoon show. So think of this show as like a Good Evening Pop Culture. That was the original name of the show. Good Evening Pop Culture. And but we decided to call it Fandom Menace tonight. We being me and myself and I. And I could prank call Brie Larson as well. That'd be fun. So, folks, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for joining me. On the way out, hit that thumbs up button if you haven't, and check out today's video about the castration of Luke Skywalker. We might have footage of it in there. Okay, we don't have footage of it in there, but he loses his hand in the video, so there you go. By hand, if you need that, there we go. We have another super chat pop in from Bruce Lombardo. Bruce, again, thank you for everything. I paint figures for the D&D game we've been playing since 2016. Should be done next spring, but it might end in a bloody heap too. See, I can't imagine playing like, if I was famous and into D&D, I'd be buddies with Joe Manganiello, the guy that's married to Sofia Vergara, because he has a D&D cave in his home. And that's pretty incredible if you ask me. That's what happens when you're a geek and you have fucking money to bankroll shit. Like if I had the money to bankroll shit, I might have like a command center in my basement from Power. No, I'd have the Bat Cave. My basement would literally be the Bat Cave from '89. There'd be bats and a literal cave and the car, and I may or may not put on the suit. Who knows? But that's what I would do with that kind of geek money. Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pops, thank you very much. He says, well, good morning, make a comeback. Will GMPC make a comeback? Pop gay. One day, it's easier to do Good Morning Pop Culture when I'm on the road in different time zones. I have no trouble getting up for the show, but like the show would start at 4:45 here. That's just not possible right now. 4:45 in the morning is kind of a little rough, but I would definitely, I love the morning shows. I like the fun nature. Love to have my coffee and while people are working and lurking. Maybe we'll do something once everything returns back to normal as a way to celebrate the society is fine. And finally, Logan Michael Anti-Funko Pops, thank you for your other super chat. He says, hashtag JFK didn't kill himself. That is true. JFK did not kill himself. It was Jack Ruby that shot Lee Harvey Oswald, who shot JFK. There we go. I had to work myself backwards because that one's caught on camera. Well, they're both caught on camera. That's what the Zapruder film is. So, folks, thank you for watching. And as always, folks, be excellent too.